Welcome into the DNVR Rockies Player Preview Series. I'm your host, Patrick Lyons. Joining me is Kevin Henry from RoxPile and Call to the Pen, Kenneth Weber of Purple Row. Today we're going to talk about a Gold Glove Award finalist at third base, and it's not Nolan Arenado. It's not that name that we've been used to talking about here for nigh on a decade. It's Ryan McMahon, who really broke out, I think, in somewhat of a way, and we'll get to all of that. Last year, he hit .254 with 23 home runs, 86 RBI, and 22 DRS, which people out there are going, wait, what? DRS? Defensive runs saved. It's a great defensive metric for showing, how great his abilities were over there at third base. That was how he broke out, I think, in a lot of ways for people, was realizing that, how good he was. Had a really great April there, had the 3 home run game, was the only player to do that last year. So that was fantastic. And really, especially with all the new pieces that are around the organization and in the lineup in particular right now, the first question I have on Ryan McMahon is there another level for him? Can he still take it to another level? Because he's been fairly consistent the last 3 seasons with an average in and around 265, low 20 home runs, low 80 RBI. Is there another level for him at the plate or even defensively? Kevin, what do you think?
I'm going to say yes, just because you mentioned that 3 home run game against Arizona. He hit 8 in the month of April, 5 in the month of May, and then it really declined after that. So I think the power game is a possibility for RyMac, and that's where I can see his next level being. Now, he has struggled with the strikeouts in the past whenever he's tried to expand that swing and really get the power behind it. So is it something that he can also hit for average as well as mix that power in there? And I think that's the next step for RyMac. We've already seen what he can do defensively. I can't imagine he's got much more defensively than he can show than he did last year. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think the offensive side's where he steps up.
Yeah.
Yeah, to piggyback on the start of his season, it was scorching red hot. He was on a 50 home run pace after the first month.
Yeah.
Now that's nuts, and you don't expect 50 home runs necessarily, but that's how good he was. And you mentioned that in May, it really wasn't as bad as well. He ended with 13 home runs after the first 2 months. You kind of saw that next step coming. June, triple slash line, 211, 276, 395 with a 41.4% strikeout rate. When he is hot, he's hotter than anybody. But when he's cold, it goes down real far. And so the consistency is going to be the thing that elevates Ryan McMahon, and if he does get there. But I think that's another really nice part about the recent extension is you're not paying Ryan McMahon to become that 300 hitter, that 35 home run guy. You're paying Ryan McMahon for what he is, and he may ultimately be that hot and cold throughout the season, 260, 20, 25 home run guy. And that's what the Rockies are banking on. But he can be more. He just has to do it more consistently throughout the season.
I think that's huge for him, that security of getting the extension, because he starts off really hot, and where is his mind going? He's thinking, all right, all-star game, maybe I'm going to start at third base over Nolan, or I'm going to be an all-star. This is now my team. I'm going to be the superstar, and maybe gets out of himself a little bit. This contract says, no, we like you for who you are, Ryan, good and bad. And so he's just going to be a little bit more comfortable. Now he's got Bryant, to take some of the load off of him. Grichuk's going to provide some of that pop, and it's okay. It doesn't have to be the Ryan McMahon show in 2022 or for the next 5 seasons after this as well.
Yeah, and let's call out the elephant in the room. There's always going to be the Nolan Arenado ghost around Ryan McMahon. And that's something that I think he learned how to live with last year, especially whenever he was doing all the defensive things, all the comparisons started coming out about, is he going to get the Gold Glove? Is he better than Nolan? I think that we've got to stop saying, is he better than Nolan? How does he compare to Nolan? Let him be Ryan McMahon. Let him be the guy at the plate that, as you said, that's who they signed him to the extension to be and what they expect from him. And let him take that next step without the ghost of 28 looming over him the whole time.
I think the conversion to third base full time is going to be beneficial for him. You mentioned the defensive run saves, the nomination for the Gold Glove. He was also like third in defensive run saved at second base in a third of the innings of everybody around him, which is insane when you look at defensive run saves because it's more of an accumulation stat.
Yeah.
So he's that superb defensively. I'm a believer that defensive positioning and giving that stability helps a position player just in their overall confidence, their overall game. So I think getting a full season at third base and third base alone is going to be helpful. And then, as Kevin mentioned, he's not there to be Nolan Arenado. He's there to be Ryan McMahon. And Ryan McMahon alone is going to be a good player at third base for the Rockies.
And I want to say, I think that a lot of people overlook the fact that he took over for DJ LeMahieu so effortlessly at second, and then did Nolan at third. And I don't know if there's ever been a guy in Rockies history who's taken over for two, dare I say, legends so effortlessly at two different positions.
Yeah, and now it's time for Ryan McMahon to just be Ryan McMahon and not fill any of those shoes. We've talked about, maybe Charlie Blackmon as this team's MVP. Chris Bryant seems like that obvious choice. But at the end of the day, is Ryan McMahon going to be the most valuable player? Will he be the player with the most wins above replacement? Could you see that happening this year, Kenneth?
I could see it happening, and I think that if we're talking about Ryan McMahon being the most important piece for the Colorado Rockies, what he's able to do at third base to help that pitching staff will probably be what carries the most weight. When you looked at the best seasons for Freeland, for Marquez, for John Gray, that had a left side of the infield of Trevor Story and Nolan Arenado. If you can have that sound defensive placement with Iglesias, hopefully, and with RyMac at third base, man, that's huge for the pitching staff, and that can make you an MVP for the team.
Yeah, and I think the pitchers saw last year what RyMac could do. And obviously you're exactly right with Iglesias now at at shortstop, and knowing, who else may be coming down the road, as far as defense and everything else. I think that there's a lot of confidence in that left side of the infield, just like there was during the, quote, glory days whenever Tulo or Story was in that position.
Yeah, I think he will probably, because of the benefit he's getting, the bump in defensive WAR, he'll probably have the highest wins above replacement, which some voters on the NL MVP, one of which could be on the set right now, we'll see. But that's a number that people definitely look at when voting for the MVP. The big question I think that everyone wants to know before we even get into the bold predictions: does Ryan McMahon unseat Josh Fuentes' cousin and become the National League Gold Glove Award winner at third base? That in and of itself could be a bold prediction. I mean, it is if you say yes. If not, that's okay. But is this his year?
Am I going to be the bad guy and say no? Because I just think that Nolan has cemented himself as the guy at third. And I think Nolan would have to almost fall off a mountain for somebody to take that over. I mean, we saw last year the incredible season RyMac had, everything that he did, the highlights, all that stuff, and it still wasn't enough. I don't see, like I said a minute ago, I don't see RyMac performing at that high of a level just because that was an incredible level last year. So I don't see him unseating it personally.
Gold Glove voting has come a long way.
Sure.
We're removed a little bit from the Rafael Palmeiro, played 3 games and got a Gold Glove.
That's right.
But it's still not perfect. And so when you do have that reputation, when you do have that history of consecutive Gold Gloves, you get a running start on the voting.
Yeah.
And so I think Arenado is going to be hard to supplant for that reason. But hey, maybe if Nolan misses an extended period of time, that opens the door. So there is certainly a path to where Ryan McMahon could get that Gold Glove this year.
Yeah, injury and what if he just has a down year at the plate too, and people aren't paying attention to him? If he's not an All-Star this year, all of that could be those things to help shift the conversation. Because you're right, he has a head start. You could play, if you replay 2021 in 2022, Nolan Arenado is still probably going to be the Gold Glove Award winner.
Yep.
If the exact same thing happens, despite all the fury here in Denver for McMahon having gotten shafted. So it would take 2023. So it really is going to take maybe, like as you said, some extended period of time away from the game and just some dip in his numbers overall. McMahon almost has to be like an all-star. It's all part of that narrative that almost has nothing to do with his actual defensive abilities. It has to do with all the other bells and whistles.
Yeah, and how much is it going to take for Ryan McMahon's name to actually get out there nationally?
Sure.
And I think that you're exactly right. I think it's going to take an all-star game appearance and for people to really realize. I think that's whenever Trevor really started getting that national reputation, even after he started off with the home run record as a rookie. It took him getting an all-star burst for people to go, oh, yeah, that guy's actually pretty good.
I could see a perfect storm a little bit.
Yeah.
Nolan's out for 5 weeks. the Rockies somehow. Oh, the Rockies are in first place over the Dodgers in May.
Right.
Ryan McMahon is the player of the month in May. Like I could see it happening before then, and sometimes that's all it takes. So there is a world where that happens.
It was impossible last year at the start of the season, partially because McMahon started on the bench and Josh Fuentes was at third base.
Yeah,
but now, you're right, you can actually see it happening. You could see it come to fruition.
Yeah, that's such a great trivia question that RyMac didn't start opening day last year.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic.
That is a good one. All right, bold prediction time for Mr. RyMac McDougal McMahon.
McDougal. I'll let you take it, Kevin.
I'm going first. All right. Then I'm going to probably steal one that neither one of you guys have.
Uh-oh.
He's going to have 2 triples this year.
Oh.
How about that? The dude can actually leg it out. I think he's only had 1 in each of the last 4 seasons.
Really?
Give the man his second triple this year. Somehow he's going to find a will and a way to go along with a little extra power.
I see. He stole 6 bases last year, so it's not.
See?
He's not flat-footed.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Get those long legs working.
I like that.
In my head, as soon as you said that, I could just see a Karam off the bullpen wall shooting towards
There you
center
go.
field.
Exactly. Hey,
Yeah.
can happen, man.
I see it. I'll go wild with it. So not only does Ryan McMahon win the Gold Glove, he wins a Platinum Glove.
Whoa.
Oh,
That's
He
a bold
gets
one.
some down years from
Wow.
Chapman and Arenado, and RyMac shoots right up.
that could be the boldest one of the entire player preview series. I'm not going to top that. Oh my!
say,
I don't even know if
just
I
set
should
the bar.
try.
Bigger home, man. I don't know.
Wow. No, I have him improving in the RBI department by at least 14, and he's gonna have his first 100 RBI season. So I think Brian could get 100.
Mm-hmm.
I think McMahon also can get 100. Where he's going to be at in the lineup, anywhere 2 through 5. We haven't really seen him at batting second, but there could be a point at sometime this season where we see him batting second. I think he gets 100 RBI this year.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think Bud has a lot more confidence in him pushing him up in that batting order this year, especially if he can cut down those Ks, like you mentioned. I think that's the biggest thing, that if you're going to move up in the lineup, the high K rate can't be there.
If those lows can just become below average to go with those highs, then that's that next step, and he can be, that 2 through 5 consistent hitter. Hopefully it happens in 22.
Yeah. For Kevin Henry, Kenneth Weber, I'm Patrick Lyons. Follow us on Twitter at DNVR_Rockies. That's Ryan McMahon's Player Preview Series Edition.